have the dream, or you have the,
or
you enter
go
the water
yeah.
when you feel, and probably, again, as with most things in nature, that's why I think the distinction of looking at humans in nature versus more socially organized groups is that, that the impulse would tend to be responsive to what the synchronicity between biology. This is the last thing I'll put on. I was talking first. That if the development in most organisms happens, by the way, in very quick, sudden spurts, and then a leveling, off, and stability, right? If this is human physical development, in simple societies, social organization is synchronistically, is in sync with that developmental, if this is the biophysical development, right? And if this is the socio-cultural, that takes place synchronistically. This is in the service of this. This organizes in response to this natural biological development. If this happens, what you wind up with as a result is what I call the big everything is, you're there. Everyone is together at the right place. If, however, it gets desynchronized, right, it produces something that looks more like this. What you get here is what I call adolescence, basically confusion, dysfunction, because what's happening is nothing is synchronized. When you're biologically here, society says, no, you're supposed to be here. And when you're here, ready to be reproductive and productive, right, society says, no, you're not ready yet. You're not responsible, you're not, it's not, so in a sense, you don't have, what you have is confusion, as opposed to synchronicity. What I suspect happens in simple societies is that the biological drive to reproduce coincides with the social welcoming of the individual's readiness, the woman's readiness to. Men's role, by the way, it's interesting, the society is formed basically among women and children at the center. Men exist, males exist always on the periphery. They basically visit. The Bush people will say that what allows them, the way, and it's always the women who choose who they will mate with among humans in nature. And the fundamental characteristic that Coombe Bush women would always say for the choice of a mate, there are two things actually, it's interesting. Right? One being that they're nice, affectionate, nice, and they help with the kids. Whatever has to be. The other thing, a little bit more racy, is that their penises are moderate to large. I'm just quoting, that's what they say. But but that basically they're nice, and if they're not nice, or when they're not, cooperative, right? They're pushed out. They're pushed away from the margin, and others are invited in. It's not because they're good hunters, because actually hunting has very, very little to do with the life of the hunters. Something to keep the men distracted with. Hunting produces only 20% of the food source for most groups, right? So the natural setting produces a synchronization, or in a sense, self-regulation. This produces confusion and conflict of one sort or another.
Yeah, you mentioned a dance that the Coombe Bush people practice.
Trance dancing.
Trance dance. Oh, you said trance dancing.
There's a book called, I don't know if it's still in print, but it's called Boiling Energy.
Yeah, Boiling Energy.
Yeah, if you can, I'm sure with online now you can get it.
Do you know if there's any actual film or video footage?
Mm-hmm. There was. I've seen.
Or can you demonstrate?
You can get them circled, but you have to get everybody breathing diaphragmatically very rapidly.
There are amounts of trance dancing throughout many cultures.
But I make the point of saying what's important is is the trance dancing that the Kung do is not, it's not chemically induced. There are many trance dances and trancing traditions, but they're usually chemically induced with a lot of very, very occult kinds of impositions. These are very, basically what happens is everybody gets together and they say, hey, literally, they say, hey, let's, whatever their word was, a couple of clicks and whatever, let's trance. And what happens is all the women, children, and non-part dancers sit in the center, and then the trancers begin to move around, and the people sitting in the center begin to chant and breathe rhythmically.
There are many traditions that are like that.
The Inuit, for instance, the Inuit Eskimos have a breathing rituals that they do too. So there are a number of traditions like this. The point being that there are obviously ways that things get organized differently, and I think that would lead to it. I guess that we're...
Your lunch date is here, but
okay.
Thanks again, Dr. Lewis. Can we agree to reconvene at 10 minutes of free?